All right, Josh. Well, I don't know if you blinked or I blinked or we all blinked, but nonetheless, we have officially come to the last week of the National Football League regular season. Playoffs are right around the corner, but this will be our last best bets show of the 2025-2026 regular season. Happy holidays, happy new year to you folks tuning in to the Janitor's Closet. Bryce Hunt and Josh Frey-Sam here with you folks for our Week 18 NFL Best Bets show. Josh, we just talked about it. A lot of incentives, a lot of things to play for here. We have teams starting guys, teams resting guys, teams playing for their playoff lives. This whole slate is always a little bit messy, a little bit muddy around this time with obviously lines being bought up, lines kind of being faded, certain lines moving based on injury reports, who's resting, who's playing. What are you kind of seeing as a whole from how are you're attacking week 18?
Yeah, obviously following the trends as we have done all season, right? Like, I mean, it's yeah, you kind of look at you're kind of playing some spots, maybe a little bit more so just with everybody obviously having a divisional game, so you're playing spots more so than others, whether it's for example, one of our plays today, without giving it away too much, is, a team that's kind of already locked into a playoff spot, but about as desperate as they could possibly get for a team that's already locked into a playoff spot. And it's kind of like they want to get right, and they want to right. It's kind of you're buying into a specific spot with some of these teams. Other ones you're just following trends and such, and how they've kind of been performing lately. But kind of like you mentioned, it is definitely a little bit of a muddier slate. I found myself not really, loving as many plays as I normally do. Didn't have as much of options as you would on a normal week, and so it kind of makes it a little bit tougher to kind of gauge some things. And then you kind of also got to think it's interesting, right? I mean, Black Monday is coming up right in the NFL, so how does that kind of influence some of these coaches and how the players play for them? Are guys going out with a bang? Are guys, kind of just waltzing to the season to the end of the season? How is this final week going to come to a close for a lot of these players and these teams? It's interesting. It's tough to predict. I think it's aside from week one, it's kind of one of those interesting. It's one of the more interesting weeks to kind of handicap. But here we are. We got three nice plays here, and hopefully these ones come through for us, and then we can kind of get back to what we know well in the playoffs here and more regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, and we have three plays for our week 18 best bets. Always a couple more that could be sprinkled in. We have some Saturday football that we could get some looks at here for you folks tuning in on Saturday. You can find those plays over on X at TJC Bets. You can also find those plays in the inbox of your email if you're a subscriber to our free newsletter, which a link will be in the description of this video. And right here on YouTube, if you want to do us a favor this holiday season, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. We appreciate you folks supporting us all NFL season. We're going to keep this train moving right into the playoffs. But before we do that, Josh, we got three plays to take care of here first in week 18. And let's start in the NFC West with the Arizona Cardinals going to have a lot of decisions to make this offseason. But before they do, they have to play one of the better teams in the league in the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, and this is one of those teams that have locked up a playoff spot in the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, they are in a position where they're Sean McVay's not resting his starters. He wants to play and kind of continue that momentum, continue the good vibes. Of course, the Rams are coming off of a little bit of a weird game on Monday Night Football. It's kind of it's interesting for them kind of going to this week. You wonder if that game played out a little bit differently, whether or not they'd actually want to rest starters again. But here we are. They want to keep this thing going into the postseason. And so it's the Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams here. The play is over 46.5. I look at the Los Angeles Rams. This offense, aside from Matthew Stafford having a couple of head-scratching throws and the Rams looking uncharacteristic at times in recent weeks, this is still an offense that's putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards. They're moving the ball down the field. They're always in games here, and so I expect this offense against a horrible Arizona Cardinals defense to have no issue at home moving the ball up and down the field. On the other side, the reason why I like the over here, and kind of why you like the over in almost any Arizona Cardinals game, bad defense and an offense that just wants to throw the football. Jacoby Brissett, I don't see that changing too much this week. I see the Arizona Cardinals obviously wanting to end the season on the right note. Jacoby Brissett, of course, is trying to make his case, one final case, to be the Arizona Cardinals or some teams starting quarterback in 2026, and I think that he's already earned that, but this is kind of one final case that he can make here, and so I see him against the Los Angeles Rams defensive unit that had showed some cracks just last week, and so perhaps we'll see Jacoby Brissett and this aerial attack for the Arizona Cardinals be able to find a little bit of success. This, of course, isn't an insanely high total for us to hit on the over, but you've got two offenses that are more than capable and a really dreadfully bad Arizona Cardinals defense that is going to be taking place in this one. And so we've got over 46.5 for 1.5 units. Two teams in completely different spots, but both offenses that really do want to get right in this final game of the regular season. So over 46.5, 1.5 units.
All right, so that's our leadoff hitter here in Week 18. Josh, let's stay in the NFC here. We know that Saturday the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers are going to be playing for that top seed. You could argue that the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons might be the hottest teams in that division. Tyler Shucks, notably a guy that you were high on coming into the season. He's played awesome. Kirk Cousins is slinging that thing for the Atlanta Falcons as well. Bijan, we know, is a superstar. Should be a pretty fun matchup for two teams that are going to fall shy of the playoffs, nonetheless.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, let's not forget. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons do have a little bit to play for, I guess, if you want to say, in the sense that if Tampa Bay wins on Saturday, that doesn't guarantee their place in the playoffs as being that the NFC South champions. Of course, if the Atlanta Falcons also win their game over New Orleans, that kicks Tampa Bay out of the spot, out of that NFC South. So there is a little bit of kind of like a spoiler side to this for the Atlanta Falcons and kind of why they want to play hard in this spot. We're going to go over 43.5 for 2 units here. So we're starting the slate off with two overs. Similar to the Rams game, this is taking place in a dome. Obviously, 2 dome teams, divisional. You mentioned both of these offenses have kind of found their stride in recent weeks. Of course, the New Orleans Saints, you can make the argument they found their stride against far lesser opponents and on the schedule with the likes of the Titans and the Cardinals and the Jets on their recent slate of games. However, nonetheless, you can't ignore what Tyler Shuck has been doing. Now, of course, the thing that's working against us in this spot, Chris Olave is going to be missing this game. I believe it's a blood clot that he's dealing with right now. So unfortunately, what has been a sensational second half to the season for Chris Olave and him really coming into his own as a wide receiver one in the NFL is going to kind of end on a little bit of a sour note, but I'm sure we'll see him next year. That made me think a little bit about this total, but the way that Tyler Shuck is playing, and although the lack of the weaponry or lack thereof is a little bit concerning, the Atlanta Falcons secondary is clearly just shown to be extremely vulnerable all season, really, especially in the second half of the year. And so I still think Tyler Shuck is going to manage just fine to get over this short total, along with the Atlanta Falcons offense that is it's clicking right now. We're seeing Zach Robinson and we're seeing Bijan Robinson and Kirk Cousins and Drake London obviously back, and Kyle Pitts and so on and so forth. These guys are really finding their stride. And so against a lesser New Orleans Saints defense, and then the Atlanta Falcons defense as well on their side is not world beaters either. Tyler Shuck and the way he's playing, the way these two offenses are kind of clicking, intrigues me a lot. I like to buy into this spot. And these are two teams, again, Atlanta has a little bit of spoiler motivation playing for them. Of course, New Orleans Saints are just a younger team, or a team that really wants to kind of get right going into the offseason here, because they've obviously got in their mind bigger fish to fry, hopefully coming in next season, right? And a big off season ahead for them. And so they've been playing hard all season. I don't expect it to change in the season finale, even though they are missing their wide receiver one. Over 43.5 for 2 units is the play here. Let's get over a short total here and see a nice high scoring NFC South game.
All right, Josh, and our last play for this show is going to take us northeast to Buffalo. Josh Allen is off the injury report, and him and the Bills are going to be hosting the New York Jets.
Yeah, the only concern for me in this game that I was curious about is whether or not Sean McDermott wants to keep and how many of his starters he wants to keep to the end of the game. I still think that he will keep them in for the totality of it. I kind of teased it at the beginning here. I'm kind of buying into a spot in this spot. Buffalo -8 for 1.5 units is the play. Buffalo playing their final game at Highmark Stadium there, and so this is kind of going to be an emotional kind of game. Obviously, Josh Allen also has his Iron Man streak that he wants to keep going, so he's going to be starting in this game, along with it being the final home game at this stadium for Buffalo. These starters want to play. They want to play hard. They want to get a win. They want to get an overwhelming win over a weak New York Jets team here. Again, aside from that as well, man, I don't think anybody needs to be told twice. The Buffalo Bills need to find something going into the playoffs here. They need something. Like coming off of that game against Philadelphia, where yeah, the offense kind of started to turn it on in the second half there. That was fine, but they need to find some level of consistency that they can hang their hat on going into the playoffs. Otherwise, this is a team that not a lot of people are going to have a lot of confidence in. And quite frankly, why should the team have confidence in itself if they're not able to string something together against a bad New York Jets team here? And so I like Buffalo here. I kind of looked at the first half line, but I still, again, just given the circumstances here, I like the Bills starters to play all of this game. And so see them having absolutely no difficulties against a bad New York Jets team that, if they are smart, Aaron Glenn, as much as I like him as a person from the outside looking in, his name will be a part of Black Monday. But I don't know if that'll actually happen. But it'll if the Jets are smart, that they will make that. But this is a team as a whole that's kind of seems to have given up. This is a defense specifically that's given up, and this is an offense led by Brady Cook that just can't do anything right now. And so the Jets' only hope, it seems, to move the football in this game is going to be through Breece Hall and this running game, which definitely could move the ball against a bad Buffalo Bills run defense that is also going to be missing Daquan Jones. Nevertheless, I don't think it's enough in this spot, and I think Buffalo Bills offense will kind of be able to. Maybe the narrative will change just a bit going into the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills, even if it is a good performance against a bad New York Jets team. But we'll see how that comes to if that comes to fruition. But nevertheless, I see the Buffalo Bills -8 doing enough here to cover this number in a runaway victory to head into the playoffs for 1.5 units.
All right, so there you have the last three plays for the regular season of the NFL from us. Rams, Cardinals over 46.5 for 1.5 units. The Saints and Falcons over 43.5 for 2 units. And the Buffalo Bills -8 against the Jets for 1.5 units. Josh, we have playoffs coming up next week. We'll be right here on YouTube. Same schedule as always. Folks can tune in on X at TJC Bets to get any further plays for week 18. Outside of that, that'll do it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. We appreciate you folks all season. We'll see you right here next week.
Yep.